Welcome to the bold analysis. President William Ruto is leading a delegation to the 77th United Nations General Assembly that is being held in New York, USA. And for our USA viewers, the president is in town. So if you need a selfie, you need to take a photo with him, then you need to maybe find out how you can get close to him. But it's very easy to reach the president when he's out than hata akiwa hapa nchini. Now, we have a dilapidated economy in the words of Rigathi Gachagua. We have an economy where we are told that treasury is dry with 93 million Kenyan shillings. That is just trivializing it. But at the same time, we have paid subsidy for fertilizer. You have saved something from the fuel subsidy. And things seems to be moving. But why do you think, even if, or what do you think the hustlers should undertake, should understand when the president on the other side is complaining about our economy that is doing badly, but is carrying a massive delegation to United Nations General Assembly? That to me, some of them are just busybodies, for lack of a better word. I want to give you this list of members that were in President William Ruto's delegation. Apart from Ruto and the First Lady Rachel, there were the Foreign Policy Advisor, the former CAS in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sababu Namwamba, Economic Advisor, David Ndi, PS in the Ministry of Health, Susan Mochache, PS in the Ministry of Education, Julius Juan, Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro, Aden Duale, Kipchumba Murkomen, Alfred Mutua, I also understand, is in the New York, and the list is longer. The other people that went earlier are their own volition and even members of the first family. So while you can understand the PS in both in the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health, for them it can be seen as an official duty. But why do you think President carried what, according to me, are members of his kitchen cabinet? Why did he have to go with the kitchen cabinet? And I want to take you through maybe what is expected there. After arriving in US today, remember on Monday he was in the UK for the burial ceremony of Queen Elizabeth II. Then he was in US, and Kenya being a member of, he was supposed to give a debut address to the United Nations and hold bilateral talks with several heads of states and government while there. And while in New York, he's also supposed to join world leaders at a reception that will be hosted by Joe Biden, US President, which would mark the end of his tour. And of course, I think I read the Star captured it well. I want to get it for you. Yes, this is here. At the bilateral level, Ruto will lead Kenya's quest to harness relations with the United States of America, guided by the 5 pillars of bilateral strategic dialogue partnerships. Of course, that is to the benefit of the country. In his capacity as coordinator, Ruto will also chair a meeting of Conference of African Head of States on Climate Crisis. Then he will actually depart for Nairobi on the same Wednesday, but there is something that where we expect that when he comes back, he's going to name the cabinet. Yes. Now, Kenya is participating at the United Nations General Assembly and is particularly important for Kenya as the country seeks to complete the second year of its non-permanent membership in the United Nations Security Council. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from, of course, there were different plenary sessions that were touching into different sectors. That's why the PS in the different ministries were there. But if you look at this, I also need to mention that he's going to meet some business leaders there. Some business leaders just to try to open up on investment opportunities in the country. So if you look at that, it's more presidential. It's more on president. But then in this delegation, there is also president's ADC. It's not been included in that list. President's ADC is there. So according to sources, that number could get to 20. So people who are in US can help us make this calculation. What do you think is an average presidential suite in a hotel in US? What do you think? And of course, the president may use the embassy, but most probably not the other leaders. So how many dollars do you think each leader is spending on a day? In a day, you were there yesterday and today. Some of them went even earlier. What is the cost of the air ticket to and fro? And they also have other allowances that they're supposed to get. Leave alone their personal assortments that they can buy. There are other allowances that come from the government. They're supposed to get, that they're going to get by attending that event. So you look at it, and I know that when the budget will finally be, at one point, we may never have to know, but at one point, if Kenyans will have a luxury of knowing how much was spent, then you can be shocked that while we cry that we don't have the money in our treasury, that the treasury is dry, there are quite billions that are going into these foreign tours. But then, because of the presidential, most of it will come from the State House. This will be a big expenditure. And someone would ask whether was that really in order? There are three questions that for me are very important in the light of this. And I've seen in social media people already asking questions. Where did we carry all that delegation to USA? And some of them do not have the value addition. Of course, I knew someone was making a very interesting development question to it, and why are hustlers? Why did you even carry one hustler there? So we have a representative democracy where if you pick your leaders to represent you, then it's your leader who will practice power on your behalf. So that's the kind of democracy we have. Now, kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell, and like our video. Now, there is a question, just an off politics a bit. I've just bumped on that story, and yes, it's a bit deep, but I just want to get, if you can help us understand kidogo. Alfred Mutua affair with Lilian Nganga fell off last year, and Lilian Nganga conceived by Giuliani, allegedly. But I'm told that there is a court case for the former to help them. I don't know how. If you followed that story, I don't want to get deep. If you followed that story, but they give me a glimpse of it, because it's one that is, I really want to have intel about it. Now, one thing, and this is the question that William Ruto should really look at. When he's coming to office, President Uhuru Kenyatta at one point even ordered that there were no foreign visits. They capped the number of people from ministries that could attend foreign visits, because these foreign trips were actually used to swindle funds. Now, what is President Ruto's measures to reduce government excesses? Does he have a policy that is already in place? While there is policy for public consumption, what is happening? Is there internal memo or internal policy that is guiding foreign trips? Or this was one to just reward the campaign loyalists for having gone through the campaign period? Does he have that? Because at one point, I remember Magufuli did not leave his country for quite some time after he was elected as president. Hangetuma, even if Kenya, he will send a minister to come to Kenya and not. So because some of these foreign trips, they really take a lot, consume a lot of public resources. You can, at one point, you can read the newspapers and see the budget and you'll be like, what? What was this? And that is why when the status report came that President Uhuru Kenyatta spent a lot of million per day the last 1 year, you could understand because the president was making a lot of foreign trips. One foreign trip by president and his delegation can cost 1 billion, if I'm not wrong, and can be more than that. You can challenge me. But again, this is something that is in the public domain. Now, apart from government officials, who of course you can understand, but what was the value of the politicians? What was the value that the other politicians or the kitchen cabinet was for? While we understand that Ndindi Nyoro, Kipchumba Murkomen, Aden Duale, most of them are touted to be members who can get their way to the cabinet, and so maybe they're part of the kitchen cabinet. David Ndii, you can excuse, he's an economic advisor, so he can be in that platform to just benchmark and make more observations. It's also get to that. But if there are other politicians who maybe have not been given dockets, or perhaps the dockets that is waiting for them that they're to receive did not have relevance in that meeting or rather in that trip, what will it be? And because someone will be tempted to think that there was a bit of an illicit spending. Illicit spending at the backdrop of a dilapidated economy, such when come to public attention, the Kenyan people look at them differently. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my bold. I personally don't feel that William Ruto needed to carry all that delegation to New York because I don't see the value addition in them. There could just be few, the ones from the ministry, William Ruto's close economic advisors, but the politicians that were in the campaign trail, even if they're members of the kitchen cabinet, I really doubt their value addition in that trip. And that's my bold.